business things we need to get over here is this pillar. We have put the cushions where we think you'll have the best line of sight. If you need to move, feel free to move a little bit. Try to avoid the Bermuda Triangle.
A little louder, please.
We put the cushions where we thought would be ideal line of sight. But if you need to move your chair a little bit or move your cushion, it's okay. Standing behind the Bermuda Triangle also seems to be an opportune place, but the Bermuda Triangle you really will miss some great action. Please turn off your cell phones, of course. And there are two emergency exits, one right here and the other one off the stage here. Once you go out into the hallway, if you go right, there's a door out to the street, and if you go left by the bathroom, there's a door out to the back part of the building. And I thought of an important thing, if there was an emergency, don't stop your shoes. No, I'm serious, I thought that was a really good idea. Don't stop your shoes if there's a real emergency. Did I forget anything? I think I got it all. You're going to want to laugh. Don't be concerned about the fact that we're in a yoga studio. Just go with it and laugh. I think we've covered it all. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Can of Yams.
Walk into my studio, work with me. Stop until the beauty of work with me. Grab a pen, begin again. Good morning.
Don't you mean happy birthday?
Happy birthday? It's not your birthday.
Well, I know, but today was old Aunt Sylvia's birthday.
Sylvia, she's been dead since we were little kids.
Exactly. So, since she's not using her birthday anymore, I decided I could use an extra one. I've got to do something to jazz up my life a bit. Well, hey, look, the clock is stuck at 10 to 4.
Yeah, I know.
Well, how long has it been like that?
Since 10 to 4.
You know, I'm usually a sucker for nostalgia, but is it really necessary we always drink the coffee of yesterday around here?
Look, Delphinia, I'm sorry if being the business manager, not to mention sister, of Northeastern Pennsylvania's most brilliant young artistic genius isn't excitement enough for you. Okay, so maybe this life isn't always thrilling. Making paintings, showing paintings, selling paintings.
If we were selling them, I wouldn't be complaining. I'm not fussy. I'm not the artistic temperament. I kind of get a kick out of managing you as a business operation. But if I'm going to make a career out of managing Alan Plum, artist, I'd like to see the enterprise result in a little cash flow once in a while, if only so I don't forget what cash looks like when it's coming towards us. Instead of always hopping away like a white-tailed deer.
Do deer hop?
All right then, a white-tailed kangaroo.
Okay, I get your point, but I still think we can do this. With my prodigious artistic talent and your phenomenal business acumen, I know that we can carve ourselves a memorable aesthetic presence in our time.
You know, Alan, you have always had such a way with words. Are you sure you're a painter and not a writer?
Of course I'm a painter. Why do you think I'm dressed this way? Why do you think I quit my job at the Pancake House?
Well, I thought you quit because you were tired of being called short stack.
I've painted over 90 canvases. This doesn't just happen out of pure fidgetiness, you know. Delphinia, I promise you that one day I shall wear artistic success and acclaim upon my head like a beret. It may just take a little time. Be patient. Work with me. This isn't so bad for now, right? A comfortable house with good natural light, our scintillating conversation, your common sense. I think we make a good team. Really, Delphinia, you're like family to me, despite our being brother and sister.
Oh, you know, it's not just our situation here that's got me down. Oh, you know me. I have an identity crisis roughly every 17 minutes. I'd recommend it, actually. It really clears out the sinuses.
You know what I think? I think you're still hung up on that guy you met in Brussels.
Nonsense. I've forgotten all about Euclid,
Euclid.
or whatever his name was.
You're moping around my charming studio because of Euclid from Brussels. It's not fair. Not even sure where Brussels is exactly.
You stick to the subject.
Of course not. You know that. I'm an artist. A flaky artist. My train of thought is strictly a tourist railroad. It runs in a big, picturesque loop, and it closes down in the off-season. And some of my friends would claim it's always the off-season. Nevertheless, I maintain that I'm brilliant, if you can follow my timetable.
But since you insist on bringing up the subject of Euclid again, I guess I was exaggerating when I said I'd forgotten all about him.
Aha!
No, I just mean that I vaguely recall some of his more notable features, like his exquisitely chiseled face,
Ah!
and his silk smooth voice, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the dazzling charisma that radiates from his eyes and just sort of melts you while you feel your entire soul sort of caressed by the kindness with which his every word is laden.
If this guy is so memorable to you, why didn't you make the old move on him?
I didn't think he was interested in me. Do you think maybe I was wrong?
How should I know? Like I said, I've never been to Brussels. But if you want to know if he's interested in you, there's one way for you to find out. Well, actually, there are lots of ways, though they're all sort of in the same basic genre. Use your imagination. I'm a painter, I'm a painter.
Maybe if I ever run into him again.
Now there's the voice of true love thundering across the chasms of existence.
All I know is I had better get to work. And when I say I, Alan, I mean you.
Okay. Once again, you've tricked me into painting. You fox. Life could be a gallery. Work with me. Laughter is our salary. Work with me. Start to...
Have you ever heard of the Heather Line Gallery?
Oh yes, another mediocre, pretentious, and nauseatingly acclaimed New York showplace. Just throw the invitation out. I don't have time to sip cheese and nibble wine while gawking at the artists to get all the breaks I miss.
It's not an opening.
I guess I'm self-centered, but it just depresses me to see others succeed where I have not yet succeeded. Don't get me wrong, I wish them well. I just don't feel a deep personal need to be there watching it happen. Makes me feel like I'm crashing someone else's honeymoon with all the wrong baggage.
Alan, it's not an opening.
It's easy for you to stand there and say, it's not an opening. You're not the one who had... What did you say?
It's not an opening. It's a personal letter from Heather Line herself. But pray, go on. Your oratory is sublime.
Quiet! Tell me! Shut up! Oh, you're so exasperating. Oh, you're beautiful. I love you. Let me see. Dear Mr. Plum, the reputation of your work has come to me through former colleagues at the University of Pennsylvania School of Fine Arts. I plan to be in your area on Saturday, June 15th, and would very much enjoy a visit to your studio if it would not be an imposition. An imposition. She wants to know if it's an imposition. If possible, please reply by email at your earliest convenience. Email. She wants me to reply by email. Definitely. Where do we keep the email? Oh, I mean, would you write back to her? Would you?
I've already done it. Of course. She replied that she and her assistant will be here at 12 noon on the 15th. That's tomorrow, by the way, in case you were wondering. Oh, and I invited them to stay over. Why should they go to an inn when we've got those spare rooms?
Oh my goodness, I'm shaking like a maraca.
And well, don't panic. I hate to see you so nervous.
Don't worry, I don't mind. I'm very relaxed with being nervous. You know, Heatherline has one of the best galleries in the East. As a luminary of the art world, she's considered to be truly ahead of the times. Now, I really wish my masterpiece were finished. I mean, I know all my paintings are sheer genius, but why show Heatherline just sheer genius when I should be showing her a work of paramount greatness, heart-stopping artistic importance, and superlative sensitivity?
With a maraschino cherry on top. Alan, are you sure this painting you're working on is of superfluous artistic importance?
That's superlative artistic importance? And of course it is. Why, the title alone conveys that.
But the title is The Can of Yams.
Yes. So?
Well, I know it'll be terrific, like everything you do, but it's still just a still life of a can of yams, after all.
Just a still life of a can of yams? Just?
Would you prefer I said merely?
Merely? Dear sister!
This is no time to compose letters.
But you obviously don't understand what the can of yams represents.
How Philistine of me. Let me guess. The can of yams represents life.
The can of yams represents life. A delicate fruit which is sealed up in an enigmatic package we recognize only by a label, the image of what's contained within.
Don't you wish artists would just shut up and paint?
I have been fascinated by the can of yams ever since I was a child, adoring the iconic orange glow of the depicted yams upon the supermarket shelf. Remember that game I invented, where you and I would hide a can of yams among each other's possessions? More than a running joke, it became a family ritual. Even Mom and Dad recognized the precious, unique splendor of the practice. Not every family hides yams, you know. I participated too.
Alan, did it ever occur to you they were humoring you?
Impossible. They were obviously impressed with the compelling symbolism of my game. Do you understand now?
I think so. You are obsessed with yams, and this makes you a genius. I've never pretended to an advanced theoretical understanding of art anyway.
And this is that same can of yams, cherished since childhood.
And rotted to a disgusting slime within the can.
It doesn't matter. As long as the can remains sealed, the symbolism is intact. It's like Schrodinger's cat. That's why I must paint with this can as my model. Only in this way will the authenticity translate onto my canvas. You can't fool art lovers, you know.
Don't say that too loudly, or you'll cause several major artistic movements of our time to close up shop.
And now you understand why, though I've been working on this painting for years, I have not yet even begun to paint the actual can. I've labored over the tablecloth, worked out with the table, caressed the lampshade, made love to the fruit bowl, and thoroughly explored the garden window. But the yams? No. That must wait. Until the right mood is upon me. The mood of a genius, at the height of his creative inspiration. I warn you, Delphinia, it may be a frightening sight.
Don't worry, I'm prepared. I've watched that baboon courtship video from the library.
I'm not paying you to undermine my sense of artistic mission.
At the moment, you're not paying me at all.
Oh, you see that? Hey, no offense, but would you mind whistling in another part of Pennsylvania?
All right, I can take a hint. I've got things to do anyway. Good night, Schrodinger. My best to your cat.
Maybe I can finish the can of yams before Heatherline gets here. True, she'll be arriving in only 18 hours, But why should a mere obstacle like time be a problem for me? Nothing stands in the way of genius. Background just needs a little touching up. Table is done. Fruit bowl is 90% complete. If I just spend all night painting the can of yams itself, I'll be finished. So what if the paint is still wet when she gets here? Wet genius is still genius after all.
Well, what happened to all that stuff about waiting for inspiration? The mood of a creative giant at the height of his self-infatuation?
That's all still true. Fortunately, I happen to find the prospect of exhibiting at the Heather Line Gallery extremely inspiring.
The wrong tool for that. I thought you're supposed to use a Phillips head screwdriver for hammering, not a flathead. Anyway, good morning.
Don't you mean happy birthday?
Oh dear, you're a little groggy after a full night's work, aren't you? Well, you must be exhausted.
No, actually I feel very well rested, in fact.
My genius. Well, come on, let me see.
No!
Oh. Well, I'm sorry, it's still wet. Of course, I'll look without getting too close.
Delphinia, I have a confession to make.
You didn't finish the painting.
I didn't finish the painting.
Didn't you now?
I fell asleep.
But I don't understand. I thought you were all charged up with inspiration and enthusiasm.
I was. I think maybe that's what tired me out.
Do you know what time it is?
10 to 4?
It's 11:40. Heather Line will be here very soon.
Or maybe she'll get lost for a couple of hours. These country roads are pretty hard to follow, you know?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I gave them excellent directions.
Delphinia, this is silly. It was silly of me to try to finish my masterpiece overnight, and it was silly of me to be afraid to show her my other fine works of art instead.
Yeah, that was silly.
And you know what's even sillier?
What?
I'm still afraid.
What have you got to lose?
I'll tell you what I've got to lose. This childish fantasy of making a career out of art. Why, I might even have to start all over and find some other childish fantasy to delude myself with. Delphinia, I feel like I've painted myself into a corner.
She's here!
At 11:45. You know, just because she's ahead of the times doesn't mean she couldn't have the decency to be fashionably late. Would you do me a favor and get that out of here?
Mr. Plum.
Alan,
I'm Heather. I'm afraid we're a little early.
no such thing.
I'm Delphinia, Ms. Lime. We met in cyberspace.
Alex, thank you for inviting me to see your work.
Alan, and it's no trouble. Though I usually like to take weekends off after hosting the constant parade of gallery owners all week long, I wanted to make an exception for you.
I had no idea you were so popular with gallery owners. Which galleries are currently exhibiting your work?
Yes, of course they are. Not at all. Don't give it another thought.
No, I mean...
You're welcome. Gesundheit. Mazel tov. Please, I insist. Delphinia, was that the phone?
No, I think it was the cuckoo clock.
I really am sorry to be early, but we got an especially early start this morning on account of my assistant. He wanted to come up and attend an event in your area, which is what originally gave me the idea of arranging this appointment with you. He doesn't like to drive, and I offered to drive him if, as my employee, he would promise not to talk business on the road. That way I knew I'd be able to clear my head for the art deals I have coming up next week. I can't tell you how valuable I find it to have an assistant who will cease talking business merely upon my request. I feel positively spoiled.
Did you say he's attending an event up here? What event is happening up here?
The Pitchtown Pickle Festival.
The Pitchtown Pickle Festival?
Oh, good. Then you've heard of it.
No.
Oh, dear. I do hope it isn't a second-rate pickle festival. I would feel so bad for Euclid.
Euclid?
My assistant. He is a pickling aficionado, and he attends these festivals whenever he can. He's entering some concoction in this one tonight, in fact. Before coming to work for me, he'd been all over the world chasing pickled foods. Bombay, Rio, Brussels.
I always wondered why Euclid had that little plastic pickle pin on his lapel. I thought it was just some kind of Phi Beta Kappa thing. Heather, may I take your bag to your room?
Thank you, Delphinia.
Would you like a tour?
Oh, yes.
Most of the paintings are out this way.
Oh, yes, the painting, of course.
Oh.
Well, that was a different flavor of ice cream. Hello, Euclid.
Delphinia? What are you doing here?
I sort of inhabit this corner of Pennsylvania, just to keep it warm, of course.
You mean you live here?
That's a matter of interpretation. Medically speaking, yes.
Well, small world and all that.
All roads lead to Rome, huh?
Lightning strikes not once, but twice.
It's not the heat, it's the humidity.
Let's see. It never rains, but it pours?
That's on account of the humidity.
So, what about those fillies this season, huh?
Oh, Euclid, I never could keep up with your sparkling conversation. Especially after another 3 years of living with Alan. He talks so much, the very idea of talking makes me kind of carsick.
I guess I'd better go and get the rest of the luggage then.
Well, I'll help you.
Thank you. Shall we then?
Well, after you. After you. I'm after you, all right.
Has it really been 3 years?
Well, not quite. It's actually been 2 years, 8 months, and 17 days. Not correcting for the time difference between here and Brussels, of course.
Of course. So, tell me, how long have you and Alan been an item?
Well, since birth. Well, he's my brother. You silly.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Delphinia, I don't mind telling you that those few days in Brussels are among my fondest memories.
Yes, it's such a captivating city.
Nonsense, it's a dreadfully dull city. But I had a wonderful time there nonetheless. I often think about all the fun times we had in our little tour group. Do you remember that place with the absurd desserts?
That peanut butter cocoa caramel tart that was so intense the entire restaurant stuck to the roof of my mouth. Oh, and how about those gorgeous people from Scotland?
Okay.
The man and the woman who looked like movie stars, and we couldn't figure out whether or not they were sleeping together.
Of course, it was none of our business. So, of course, we pretty much talked about it the rest of the time. Oh, but you know, Delphinia, it's mostly you I think about. I think about how I maybe should have said something sometime to you.
Well, why didn't you?
Well, I didn't think you were interested in me.
Well, for goodness sake, there was always a way to find out. In fact, there are plenty of ways, but they're all pretty much in the same basic genre. Use your imagination.
Ah. Like this?
tours.
Oh, I love it.
It was like,
So that's it for the main exhibit. This stuff here is all...
over the floor.
Ah, I see you've met Euclid.
How do you do, Euclid? I'm my sister's brother.
Euclid is the best gallery assistant I have ever had, in spite of his pretending to know knowledge of art. Though he does tell me he was good friends with Roy Lichtenstein.
No, I didn't say I was good friends with him. What I said was that I would drive by his building sometimes. Excuse me, I must go and check on some sweet pickle corn salsa.
How did you like the studio?
Charming.
You really like my paintings, Heather?
I have to be frank with you, Alex.
Alan!
I have to be Alan with you, Alex. I see a lot of paintings. I run a small, world-class gallery, and what understands...
I knew it! I should have shown her the Can of Yams!
You should have shown me what?
I think Alan was just talking to himself, Miss Lime. You know how artists are. I wouldn't pay any attention if I were you.
Did you say you've painted a can of yams?
Well, it's not...
This is incredible. Ever since I was a little girl, I've been drawn to yams. Something about them has always just entranced me.
Can you believe there are 2 of them?
My high school class even voted me most likely to talk about yams. I must see this painting.
Of course, only it's...
It's in storage, isn't it, Alan?
Yes, that's right.
In storage. Nearby, I hope.
Oh, not too far.
Excellent. You can show it to me tomorrow then, yes? Right now, I'm off to the Pickle Festival with Euclid and will probably be late returning. I must say, that pickling crowd does know how to party. We would invite you 2 along, but I understand the event is sold out. You know, I should have realized when I first laid eyes on you that you might be the man who could paint my yams.
Well, things are looking up.
They sure are.
Soon that delicious art connoisseur and her friend will be safely on their way to Pitchtown, and I'll have plenty of time to paint. And now, I'm not just painting yams for the ages. I'm painting yams for her. What time is it?
About 1.
Perfect. I'm going to take the afternoon to decompress, to relax myself into a supreme state of artistic serenity. Then, stand back and watch me work.
I can't believe I forgot to put the molasses in my trademark sweet pickle corn salsa. I can't enter an unsweetened sweet pickle dish. My reputation would sour on the spot. Naturally, I realized my error at precisely 5:01, just when all the stores had closed. Now, I'm hoping that there's a chance there's something in this house I can use. Luckily, it's a forgiving dish, so anything sweet will do in a pinch. Something like honey, rice liqueur, blackcurrant liqueur, can of yams. Yams? Why, this is more than expedient. This could be brilliant. What could be better? Yam-sweetened corn pickle salsa. Now, does that sound delicious? Or what? Sure, that Philia won't mind. Oh, she's so wonderful. I'm sure she'll understand, but I'll explain later. But right now, it's back to the Pickle Festival and my salsa. Oh, I do hope Heather's not getting bored there without me. She gets so boring when she's bored.
And now, the moment of paramount artistic grandeur. I hope the foundations of this house can take it. Delphinia?
Yeah?
What'd you do with the can of yams?
What?
You cleaned up and moved the can of yams. I'm not upset or anything, you understand? You know how much I appreciate your keeping this place tidy while I occupy myself with things painterly. I just need to know where you put it so I can get started.
Don't be silly. I wouldn't touch your can of yams with a 10-foot papaya.
Very funny. But really, where'd you put it?
Alan, I'm not kidding. I have done nothing with your can of yams. I wouldn't know what to do with a can of yams. I consider it an absurd object, and I would probably walk a block out of my way to avoid looking at it. A practical strategy, alas, since it happens to reside in the center of our home.
It's not in the center of our home now!
Well, it's been there for 25 years. Don't be so demanding. Maybe it went out for a seltzer or something.
How can I paint the can of yams without the can of yams?
Well, you're an artist. Aren't you supposed to have a prodigious imagination or something?
You expect me to imagine the can of yams? My can of yams?
Well, for goodness sake, you've been staring at the thing for 25 years.
I was in Italy for a year without it.
All right then, 24 years. I would think you would have every detail of its ridiculous contours etched on the brilliant clay of your legendary mind.
Well, the details maybe. I mean, sure, I know that the label is purple.
You mean green?
It's purple.
You've been making me live with a can of yams for 25 years for artistic reasons, and you don't even know what color it is?
Hey, take it easy. Never mind the color of the label. I'm telling you, the point is that the whole is more than the sum of its parts.
Does that have something to do with Schrodinger's cat?
I must find that can, and my career as a painter will be over.
I must resist the overwhelming urge to run screaming out of your life forever, or my career as your business manager will be over. Look, why don't you just go to the store and buy another one? The packaging still looks pretty much identical after all these years.
Ha! To the artistic eye, the difference between my yams and these ordinary yams is as night and day. You might just as well suggest to Da Vinci that he paint Bozo the Clown if Mona Lisa runs out of him.
You are out of your mind!
I knew you'd understand.
Anyway, I guess the stores would all be closed by now.
My only hope is that the can of yams will return. Somehow, someday. Until then, the world will have to wait for my masterpiece. Sorry, world.
Did you say something just now?
When now?
Well, now. How many nows do you know?
You mean just now?
Yes, just then.
Do you mean then, or do you mean now?
Either.
No, I didn't. Why, did you say something just now?
Well, yes, I asked if you said something.
Well, I didn't.
I know.
Then why did you ask?
I mean, I know now.
When now?
You're back early.
Delphia, I had to rush back and tell you, something exciting's happened. They've appointed me chair of the World Pickle Society. I assume the position in 10 days. They'll be paying me to travel the world, presiding over all pickle-related events. I'm maintaining the high standards of picklehood, for which the society is known. Heather here has been very understanding about my resignation.
What can I say? I can't compete with world-class pickles.
Now I'm going to need my own business manager, someone of exceptional skill who can help plan and coordinate my travel itinerary, tastings, interviews, can help write my speeches and correspondence and so forth. This person would have to accompany me everywhere, including dull places like Brussels.
I'm so terrible at snap decisions. I'm more of a glued-together decision person. You must give me a little time.
Okay.
Yes, 15 minutes to pack and another 5 to return my library books. This is all so sudden.
I'll say it's sudden. I didn't even get a chance to enter my sweet pickle corn salsa in the festival. Of course, I'm ineligible now. Oh, this is yours, by the way.
The can of yams.
Yams? Ha! These aren't yams. As we know, true yams are white, not orange. It's always really annoyed me that they can these stupid orange sweet potatoes in a packet that says yams.
Yes! with them.
But speaking of yams, I'm afraid we won't be able to stay the night. We must get back to New York as quickly as possible to take care of all the gallery business before Euclid leaves me. So, may I see that painting now?
Heather, there is no painting.
But the yams!
I've given up on yams. All I have is the other work I've shown you. I'm sorry. Very sorry. Because you're the first person I've met whom I especially wanted to please with my art. Besides me, I mean. I wouldn't even care if you didn't have a gallery at all, if you never looked at a painting before and didn't know which end of the tube the paint came out of. For the first time, I just wanted to touch someone with my brush.
Alex!
Alan?
Alan, I work with world-class painters, and you are not what I consider to be a world-class painter. Not yet. I think that someday you will be. But right now, you're merely an excellent painter. An excellent painter, oozing with sensitivity, wit, charisma, and,
Ego.
I happen to need a new assistant. And what better way to hone your artistic instincts than by coming to work in my gallery?
But I'm no good with practical details. I'd make a terrible assistant.
Well, then we'll get you an assistant. Please, Alan, just come be with me and paint.
You promise never to exhibit my work until you really believe it's good enough?
I promise.
Okay. And I promise not to talk business in the car.